Welcome to this Zoom meeting on our brand new classroom, the Cabinet Room, formerly known as 336, a room on the first floor here at Sveavägen 65, Stockholm School of Economics. The school is closed now and there is no education going on here, but students can come here and study, so there are some students in the building. It's January 2021 now. And I'm Tinny, and I work with Art Initiative here at the school together with Pierre Guillet de Montou, who is with us in this meeting via Zoom. Art Initiative embeds art at the school to make the school an even more knowledge-intense environment. We do art talks, we have an art collection, we do things like this, and we do tours and all kinds of stuff, together with our student body, art division. And I would recommend you to have the speaker view on. I have you all here on the screen, so I can talk to you. And with us here in the room, we have Karin Elg, who is our facilities director. And we have Emily Norton, who is an art expert working at Norton and Cederström, the company who helped us to pick the art for this room. And with us via Zoom, we also have the architects from Sweco. Jonas Kjellander will say something later on in the meeting. And we also have some of the artists that are represented in the room. We have Bella Rune with us. We have Hanna Ljung. That's Bella Rune and Hanna Ljung. And now over to our president, Lars Strannegård.
So why do we have this remarkable room? Well, the short answer to why we have it is the great alum Staffan Olsson has made it possible for us. He's a truly remarkable alum, and he has said that he wants to give back to SSE because he feels that the school has meant so much for him. So that's why we have it. And we wanted a room that is really inviting, with good acoustics, with state-of-the-art technology and high flexibility. And we want it to be a place where you want to be, where you want to stay, and where you want to learn. So it's a place where you can move the furniture and basically furnish it for many different types of learning situations. So flexibility is really at the core and at the heart of this place. And the architects proposed this birdhouse or nesting boxes with soft cushions where you can sit during class, but also study when there is no class. And SSE has the abbreviation FREE as an overarching philosophy for learning. And FREE stands for F, fact and science-based, R for reflective and self-aware, the first E for empathetic and culturally literate, and the final E for entrepreneurial and responsible. And the fact is that this entire room is a manifestation of FREE. There are spaces for reflection. It's a highly creative design. And then the artworks that can be there and enjoyed just in their own rights. And I think we're going to hear more about the artworks in themselves and hear a good presentation of it. But the fact is that they can either just be there or they can be used to evoke different types of sensations. And the overarching theme for the entire room is the Cabinet Room. That's the title of it. And it comes from the idea of the Chamber of Curiosities, in Swedish Kuriosa Kabinett, or in German Wunderkammer. And the heyday of the Curiosity Cabinet was the late 16th century, the 17th century, and of course the first half of the 18th century, when ambitious families in Europe had special rooms decorated with exotic and strange artifacts. It was completely in line with the decades leading up to the Enlightenment. So the ambition was high. They wanted to display as much knowledge as could be obtained about as many aspects of nature and society as possible in one place. So in the Curiosity Cabinet, one could find everything from strange collectibles from distant South Sea islands, Arctic communities, and largely misinterpreted biological phenomena, such as narwhal teeth that were presented as unicorn horns, and also pure forgeries. So the Curiosity Cabinet, whose purpose was almost of an encyclopedic nature, gather the entire world in one cabinet or room, but that became obsolete during the Enlightenment. And instead, efforts were made to systematize and specialize the collections, which also had a stronger scientific element than before. So later, instead of having a cabinet with everything possible for viewing, extensive mineral and plant collections were created in the middle of the 18th century. And that's when scientists such as Carl von Linnaeus started to systematize and create data banks that are much more similar to science as we know of it today. So scientific categorizations became more fashionable than fantastic things, basically. So curiosity cabinets are sort of pre-Enlightenment and something that led up to Enlightenment, something similar to what we want to do, namely enlighten our students. So the idea with the Wunderkammer, even historically, was that you wanted to gather the world, bring in as many fantastic and wonderful things as possible, sort of like a museum. It was a desire to gather knowledge and present natural, jaw-dropping items. They wanted to gather knowledge, and the cabinet would function basically as an encyclopedia. So the idea behind the Wunderkammer was very similar to the idea of a university, a place where knowledge about the world is collected, just like a university or a research-intensive place like SSE. So the artworks here have resemblances to the Cabinet of Curiosities. Hannah Jung's work, where the amount of bromine is equivalent to the amount we have in our bodies. We have Samson Kabula's wonderful small Platonic allegory of the cave work. And it really evokes questions such as, what is the truth? And what is it that we actually see and hear? Are they just reflections of the truth? Is it really the truth, etc.? So it's all about the F in free. Or Gustav Nordenskiöld with his connection to the Antarctic with his great-grandfather, who was an explorer. And Gustav Nordenskiöld has brought sort of constructed artifacts that resembles glaciers and really evokes questions about climate change. And then, of course, we have Don Bolger's work with his artwork where our world has basically fallen apart, but in a very poetic way. So in short, the cabinet room is a place that really evokes your emotions and makes you think. It's first and foremost a place where classroom teaching can be carried out in an excellent way, but it's also a place where you want to endure, where you want to dwell, where you simply just want to hang out. So thanks a lot to all the artists, to the curators, to Art Initiative, and of course, a huge thanks to Staffan Olsson.
Amazing, Lars. Thank you so much. Now we are going to talk a little bit about with Karin Elg, our facilities director here at SSE. So Karin, tell us a little bit, you were responsible for the refurbishment of this room. So tell us a little bit about the ideas behind the room.
Yes, well, we wanted to create a classroom that would make an impact on everyone using it. So we have, together with the architects Jonas Kjellander and Maria Parentrovik from Sweco Architects, we have worked in a very close collaboration creating this room. If you look at a traditional classroom, it has a layout where the student sits in a row facing the front of the classroom. This room with the curved desks allows the students to get a more of a visual contact, both with each other, as well as in the interaction with the teacher. So in overall, this layout creates more interaction between student-student, but also student-teacher relationship.
Mm.
If you look,
the tables are also able to, you're able to place them in different patterns, so to say.
Yes, you can either furnish it in a traditional way, as it is now, but you can also furnish it for creating layouts for group interactions or self-studies. And together with that, we have lighting scenarios, different lighting scenarios that you can use, depending if it's group interaction or traditional layout. So if you look at the traditional way of sitting in the classroom, it's very static. And these cabinets that you can see in the background allows the student to kick off their shoes and snuggle up and follow a seminar in a more relaxed way. And each cabinet are fitted with USB chargers and also individually adjusted lighting, which is an extra plus for the user of the cabinet.
Wow, wow. And how many cabinets is it in the room?
5 altogether, 2 on one side and 3 on the other side.
And there are also mattresses in the windows.
Yes. So in the future, you'll be able to sit in the window or in the windows and follow the seminars or classes as well. Mm. And I also want to pinpoint that the lighting that I mentioned is state-of-the-art lighting when it comes to efficiency, which is a big strategy for us to in all the materials we use, try to be as sustainable as possible. So we have also, in the materials used in this classroom, we have chosen them for their sustainable abilities. It could either be the carpentry that is a Swedish carpentry, and we have chosen wood that is more sustainable, which is oak, harder wood, and the fabrics that we have used on the chairs are also sustainable fabric, and the desks have been made from the carpentry. So the only thing that hasn't been designed and made for this classroom are the chairs that I'm sitting on, and they have been produced by a Swedish company using Swedish materials as well, textiles and leather. Mm. We're very proud of that as well.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. But shoes off, that's what everyone asks who enters the room. And also the students also always ask, can we sit up there during classes?
Absolutely, yes. That's why they are here. Oh, we want everyone to use them.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Karin. And now over to Emily Norton, who is an art expert. She works at Norton and Cederström, and together with the donor to this room, Staffan Olsson, Emily and worked close together with also with the school to choose the art. Emily, please take us through the room and present the art to us.
One of the first works that we decided that we really wanted to push hard for was Samson Kambalu's film, Plato's Cave, which is, of course, the allegory of the cave, where the people sitting in the cave looking at the blank wall are seeing the shadows and forming their understanding of the world and reality through the shadows. But the shadows are being cast by people that have made it outside of the cave and are trying to figure out how to maybe in a positive light reflect the world into the cave and give them an understanding, or if you want to sort of be more Machiavellian, sort of twist what reality can be. But the idea of how we communally shape our ideas of each other, of the world around us, and both our past and our future, and how we want to move. So that was a very sort of nice.
And Samson, he lives in England.
He lives in London. He's originally from Malawi, but has studied and is a professor at the Ruskin School of Fine Art in London. But a lot of his work are these short films that are sort of made to look a little bit sort of old-timey, old-fashioned, and only about a minute long. And capture, and while we sort of see the gravitas and the ideas that are being lifted with it, there's also a lot of humor, sort of when you see him stumbling out of the cave that he's coming out of. And also just visually, the idea of a cave with all of the cabinets, it just works really, really nicely. And then the next work we have, if we scroll along, is Above Me. I'm not tall enough. By Matthias van Arkel. And this is a work that he made for the specific cabinet. We had a meeting with him where he came and took the measurements and looked at the sort of different lighting variations that he could have. And Matthias works in vulcanized silicone rubber, which is one of the it's a fascinating material. To get it applied to the wall like that, you just hammer a nail straight through it, and it's self-healing, so you can't find the nail holes anymore. And it's an industrial material that Matthias discovered early in his career, when he was looking at examining sort of like the idea of the curiosity cabinet and examining the world around us. Matthias has always examined painting. So if you're in the room and you see it's three-dimensional, you can pick it up, you can touch the pieces of it, but it is a painting. And the idea of how an artist paints and how they create color and shape and form and the processes that are involved in that, Matthias sort of wants to deconstruct and show the pieces of a painting being put together. So if you climb up on the ladder over here, you can look in and see the sort of different parts and pieces that have either fallen away or are on their way into the painting, depending on how you want to look at it. And then if we move over one more time, another work that Lars mentioned is Hanna Jung, down here. And Hanna was in the meeting, wasn't she?
Yeah, Hanna is here.
And this is from a series of work that she did that were also, the series was called Curiosity Cabinets, or Cabinets of Curiosity. And in them, she's looked at the mineral content of the human body, specifically hers, sort of as an outgoing point. And she's given the sort of the exact weights of different minerals that exist in the human body. And she's looking at ideas of, or my interpretation would be of her, she looks at sort of the mining communities and the way we interact with the natural world, but also all of these materials that we're taking out of the earth and using different processes we also have inside our own bodies, and how we relate to ourselves as being part of the world around us. And when you think about the idea of pre-enlightenment, as Lars was speaking about, curiosity, trying to understand the world through objects and artifacts, part of that was understanding the human body. It was something that was one of the biggest mysteries, even though it's something that we live in every day. And Hanna's work sort of touches on those themes, as also wanting to make us remember that we are connected with the world and made up of the same things that are in the natural world around us.
Maybe Hanna, would you like to add something?
Yeah, am I mute or am I sounding?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay. I think I can't start my video, but I can talk. No, I think I don't really want to add anything. I think you did a really nice presentation, and the room looks wonderful. Really, really great. I wish I was a student. But yeah, the curiosity cabinets, I've been doing a lot of several works in this, and I think you said quite a lot about them. I'm also interested, actually, quite opposite maybe from what Lars said, that the break with the Enlightenment for me is not all good. I think there's something in the pre-scientific age that is interesting and brings together several perspectives that we have, I think, a problem with today, that we divide everything into different, either you're feeling something or you're thinking something, or in the pre-scientific age, you could actually be a scientist, a philosopher, and be very religious at the same time. So the mysticism is something that I really appreciate with it, and been working a lot with. And also the quantability, or the quantifying of our society, is also something that I've been really interested in this.
Thank you, Hanna.
Yeah.
Up above the door here are works by Gustav Nordenskjöld, who's, as Lars also mentioned, one of his, I think it's his great-grandfather, was one of the polar explorers in this idea of, and I was thinking about what Hanna just mentioned, the idea of mysticism, or a little bit of, if you want to be corny, magic, of the idea of being able to make it to Antarctica and survive and be in this alien environment that no one had really been in before, and take photographs and bring back artifacts and bring them back to what was in a modern society, and the idea of discussion and debate about what these artifacts meant, but also is a way of examining human achievement and the fact that you're able to do these types of trips. And Gustav, who works in ceramics, sort of very, very finely handmade objects that are dripped, but you sort of see this tie to polar environments, and today with climate change and the way the world is changing around us. So like, is it ethical to travel to these places anymore, even though we can more realistically? Is it important to go? And I know that there was, a few weeks ago, they were monitoring a giant glacier that was breaking up and sending icebergs into the ocean, and sort of starting to see how that was going to impact other parts of the world. Sort of the idea of science, and there's the natural science is also about natural curiosities. We don't know what's going to happen when that glacier breaks up and the iceberg falls in, but monitoring and watching it and discussing maybe helps us form an understanding and be able to understand how to prepare and move ahead. So that's sort of a little bit of touch on those.
So nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So if we start closest to the door, there are two works by Sara Vide Eriksson, painting sketches really where with the idea of learning and exploring and developing. Sara Vide works a lot with taking photographs of things around her, of herself interacting with her environment, and then she paints and repaints, and she paints in oil on paper, she paints in oil on leather, she paints with oil on just sort of the idea of not so much testing her skill, but as developing it and landing in what works and what doesn't work. And so Manta Ray, which I think is beautiful, she is herself underneath this black shape moving around through the water and finding ways of capturing that movement and then translating it into a two-dimensional still image. And then these are pre-studies to works that become larger finished paintings. And then in the middle right there, if you think about the idea of the cabinet of curiosity, it was filled with curiosities, things of wonder, things that sort of were fantastical. And this is a curiosity. This is a little corkscrew done with modern technology, a 3D printer. And if you look really closely, you see Bella Rune. It's a self-portrait. And Bella is, of course, engaged in the art initiative here and has one of the really fantastic works down in the Rector's studio where the portraits of former directors and former donors to the institution become alive through modern technology.
Yeah.
So.
And she's also part of our advisory board. And Bella, you are in the meeting as well.
I'm also in the meeting as well. So
hi, Bella.
Fantastic to see this. I have to say, this room is just amazing. And as someone that also has a pedagogic practice, I envy this room. I think it's fantastic. And it's going to be in a world where we have this kind of echo chamber existence of just one perspective. I really love this idea of letting many perspectives take place and also positions in the room. So I think that's fantastic. And it's great to have the smallest work I ever did as part of this room. So thank you very much and well done, everyone.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And then up above me again are two small sculptures by Linda Bäckström. Was Linda also in the meeting? Maybe. And here, also going back to this idea of objects that you don't quite understand, that you sort of see, they look like plants, but maybe they're aliens. But maybe, and then what's the material? Are they heavy? Are they light? It's hard to see in the video and in the Zoom, but they're sort of pearlescent in the paint, in the way that they're lacquered, and the idea of including them in the room was this idea of cabinets of curiosity had artifacts from the world around us that you sort of thought you understood, but that you wanted to collect and maybe understand more, maybe talk about more, and maybe you sit next to someone and they think it's something completely different. Like I think the one on the shorter one, I don't know, it depends on how you're looking at the screen, looks like an anemone from under the sea, where the other one looks like maybe a seed pod. And they also remind me of, in the collection at the British Museum, there's actually proof that there were mermaids because someone had taken half of a monkey and half of a fish, sewn them together, mummified it, and presented it as an artifact. Of this is proof that these things, these magical creatures exist. Instead of trying to sort of make proof of how we understand the world. And the sort of, without putting any ideas onto Lindo's work, this is sort of the idea behind including these objects as
They
food
can
for
also
thought.
be känselspröt. What's the name for that?
Antennae?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a little bit of fun. And then the last work, there are 8 artists presented in the room. This is a work by Don Volgesh, Mor och barn, mother and child. And it is exactly what it is. It's a globe with a globe inside of it. And so Don has very carefully taken sort of the map that would have been inside the clear globe has been peeled away, and then he's carefully inserted inside pieces of another broken globe. And we can, mother and child relationships between what comes first, what comes later, what you inherit from someone, how you take care of someone, but in both directions, both the mother taking care of the child taking care of the mother, roles, and very in this room and in 2021, looking at how does the world look today? How can we talk about our world and our relationship with it? How do we take care of it? What are we passing on to future generations? What have we inherited? What can we impact and change? But not all death and disaster. Don has a lot of humor in his work as well. And it's really just sort of this beautiful object with the light in it, because light is, of course, reviewing all of Greek mythology with my children recently, sort of the idea of Pandora and Pandora's box, and all of the horrible things are released from Pandora's box. But the one thing that was always left inside was hope, because even when Zeus was trying to sort of curse humans with all kinds of horrible things, he wanted them to maintain hope. I sort of see the light bulb there thinking, well, there's hope.
There is hope.
There's always hope.
Are there any questions from the viewers or in the chat?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, we have lots of interesting questions and quite an interesting auditorium or people have come in from all over the world. So we got some cheers from Wim van der Hove, I hope I pronounce it correctly, who is the editor-in-chief of Management Philosophy. And Wim seems to like this. I'm very happy for that, and it's fine to have him here. Monica Kostera from Warsaw, Krakow, has an idea of the usefulness of this, maybe to connect us to Warsaw. What do you say, Monica? Do you have any?
I think this is a really beautiful idea and quite useful for concentration and for the appreciation of both ideas and materialities, which is, I think, one of the really interesting roles of art in relationship with business and organizing. So I am currently a visiting professor at the MBA program at the University of Warsaw, and I have already suggested a few inspirations from the Stockholm School Art Initiative, and this is definitely going to be one.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Monica. We're looking forward to that. Wim, do you want to say something from the perspective of management and philosophy, if you're still around?
Yes. If I can just add, I corroborate with all the positive reactions you've received so far. I just think, I'm just imagining what it would be like to be in there with students and interact with students, and I think it really it's very different from the kind of space we've come to see as normal for learning activities. And so I think this really disturbs that image or that notion of space. So it's a very, I can see just just because people are different in this space, just imagining interacting with students whilst they're in one of those nests, for example, is amazing. It's bound to be inspiring both for students and teachers, I think.
Thank you very much, Wim, for and it's great to have you here. We also have students from our art division, and they are preparing a very lively spring with curating young Swedish artists. Kate Nuss, you had a practical commentary here. Something is missing, you think, Kate? What was that? Is Kate with us?
Yes, sorry, it just took a while. No, I really love the cabinets as well. I'm a student, exchange student, so unfortunately I couldn't attend your university this semester physically, but I really, really like the cabinets. And I was thinking when I would study, I would love such cabins. I would just miss a good coffee machine where I could fill up my energy level from time to time.
Thank you very much, Kate.
We have to
wind up.
Say goodbye. Is that okay, Pierre?
Of course, the conversation has been starting here, and we're looking forward to the Emnosyne, the Abby Warburg version in Stockholm School of Economics. Thanks you all for coming, and thank you, Tini, for managing this so nicely.
Yeah, and we are so looking forward to fill the room with students, of course, and also to have a live tour of this room. So follow us on Instagram or Facebook for more adventures from Art Initiative and Stockholm School of Economics. Bye.